Hello, everyone. This is going to be our very first YouTube video for the Dice Chuckers Podcast Network. For this, we will be doing an interview with our current sponsor and the player of Dacian. So if you've listened to us, you may know who Dacian is and heard of our sponsor, and I will let him talk for a moment and introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Jacob. I am, like he said, the current sponsor through my company, Noble Hobgoblin. We are a company that does a lot of D&D type events and tabletop events. We do D&D for charity. But anyhow, we are a brewery in planning. So for now, we have only had other venues to experience our events. We're sponsored by Breaking Games. We have accounts with ELO and Steamforged, and working on several more too. So we're going to be selling board games. We're going to be doing all sorts of tabletop events. And I make dice. That is another one of the things. My wife is part of our team, and she's a seamstress, so she makes all the really cool like dice bags and other neat things like that. We screen print our own t-shirts as well. We kind of do a little bit of everything. But yeah, that's us in a nutshell. And you can find us on Facebook at Noble Hobgoblin. Same thing with Instagram, Noble_Hobgoblin, I believe. And follow us there. Stay tuned. Our website's almost up. And of course, the podcast, you can check us out on there. A lot of the times I like doing giveaways or collaborative events. So, for instance, we have a giveaway coming up tomorrow, actually, that I'm pretty excited for.
It'll probably be right around the time this video releases. We'll be doing the live stream for that, where we will be giving away a copy. This is my personal copy, but a copy of the Cthulhu Mythos setting from Peterson Games. I got an email from them today. It might be a little bit before I can fulfill that. The order's on backlog. They're having a lot of shipping issues with COVID right now.
Understandably.
But, we will be doing drawing for that and a set of dice from Noble Hobgoblin.
They're legit. They're pretty cool.
So what are you drinking over there,
my
Jacob?
Dinner. It's my dinner.
Your dinner.
Haze and Blue from good old Michigan. It's an IPA. It's supposed to have blueberries in it. It was more of like this sounds weird. I'm going to try it. As far as Hobgoblin and beer goes, by the way, we do brew out at Ironbark Brewing in Jackson, Michigan. So if you're in the area, stop by and you'll probably be able to taste one of our yummy collabs out there. We do all sorts of beers, stouts, porters, IPAs, sours, Belgians. Our current line is Belgian beers. So if you're a beer person, check it out.
Cheers. All right. So before we get into the full interview here for everything, let's just give everybody, like, I know in our first episode we kind of talked about it briefly, but kind of be like your history with D&D, like what brought you into the fold and all that kind of stuff.
Well, of course, I was playing D&D before I knew it was D&D, right? That's the big thing that I think a lot of us forget, including myself, but I really try and push is like, you're just at a table talking with your friends, making up stories, right? And D&D just gives you a way to kind of proliferate and make things even crazier. And you have these cool rule sets and dice, which are, awesome. So you have all these components and like I said, I think I've been playing for dice. Hobgoblin
Currently
dice.
A set of Noble Hobgoblin dice.
Ayo. Shout out. So I think realistically, as far as the D&D setting, I started with 3.5. Previous to that, though, I mean, I was pen and paper writing games out for myself and my friends since probably, I can remember the first game I made I was 8, maybe 7. And it was my friend Marcos and John, and we just played. It was about witches.
All right. Right on. going to save most of my experiences for when it eventually becomes my turn to be the interviewee. We're going to run through all of our players first and then have somebody else sit on this part of the interview.
Sounds good to me.
So aside from D&D, brewing, the Noble Hobgoblin with board games, what kind of other nerdy interests do you have that would be talked about on this network?
Well, as far as this network goes, I guess let me answer, or let me ask you a question specifically about this network, or just my nerdness.
Well, the nerdness overall kind of works. Like, we are part of the Shut Up Nerd podcast network, so overall nerdiness works.
Sure. Well, to start with sci-fi, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. Picard all the way. The Next Generation is like, and I've watched every single episode. My wife was like, "Oh, that sounds cool," and I was like, "You've never seen it?" So since then, we've been binging it on Netflix again. I'm huge into just role play, anime. I mean, I love creating things. I am a creator. I'm a builder. You know, that's why I like brewing beer. That's why I like making D&D campaigns. That's why I like, you know, making paper games and tabletop games. You know, I've made my own little board games for, I don't know, 15 years. I just do random stuff. You know, I've built decks. I built homes. I was a manager at Home Depot for several years. I'm just a creator, and that makes me really attuned to D&D, which is why I was a forever DM until joining your podcast. But anyway, kind of, you know, touching on this and that, this creative flow in me makes me super excited when I get to geek out on things that have a vast universe like Star Trek or D&D. Or the Cthulhu mythos, and like all these bits and pieces that I can snag that I'm like, ooh, that's cool, in the thought bank, and then I can kind of pull those pieces together and create this thing. As I said, part of Noble Hobgoblin is board games. If I could, I can't because they're down in the basement, but if I could just show you my board game collection, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I'm sure also you can cross post it on either the Facebook or Instagram as well.
Yeah, I have posted some of our collection for Hobgoblin on our Instagram, but anyhow, was a big video gamer for Super Nintendo is my all-time. Huge into RPGs, of course, especially those 8 and 16-bit RPGs. They're so cool. I don't know why. Turn your own adventures, those books where you like, yeah, that was the stuff back in the day. That was like, oh my gosh, I collected those things.
Just a little side note, and I'll have to bring it next time I come out for our next recording, but the starter set for Call of Cthulhu has a 1-player function where you are your own lore keeper, and it is a build your own adventure where you literally roll your dice, and that dictates what pages you'll go to.
That's awesome. I love that.
So yeah, I'll have to bring that and show that to you.
That's really cool. I remember one of the first solo RPGs that I played that I could buy was from Pathfinder. Like, part of the starter set was like a little mini solo campaign, and it was, you know, corny and super cliche, but that's kind of super helpful in a lot of tabletop role-playing games, is because people you know, they know that cliche, they know the whole tavern bit and the goblins, and for new players, I don't know if this is like a thing that I just like, hey, I got another one. I go through like all my friends and I'm like, I don't think they've ever played, and then I'll call them and be like, hey, you should try this. They're like, nah, I don't know, that seems really lame. Just wait. And then, you know, here I am running like, yep, running like 3 campaigns at once, and like, oh, it's nuts. But anyway, my nerddom spans everywhere. I'm a turbo nerd about gardening. I know that's super weird, but I love growing things and life, herbs and all that tincture, hippie stuff.
Foraging. We've been out foraging.
Yep. Yep. I'm huge into foraging. I love that. It's super cool. I'm an artist. I also play like 7 instruments. So my nerdness has no bounds.
That's a lot of instruments for somebody who is personally musically inept. I enjoy music, do not
Sure.
understand how to make it. That's why I relied on you and Chad for the theme song for Dice Chuckers.
Yeah, that was fun. It was kind of interesting because his editing and my editing, we use 2 different softwares. So trying to like communicate between us, because I'll edit one part of one of our episodes and then send it to him so he can finalize everything. And it's just interesting trying to find that common ground between our softwares and between what we can do quickly to help each other. But anyway, yeah, so nerdiness, man, that's me. Whatever I can get into and get hooked, I'm all about it. I see a new thing and I'm like, let's buy everything. Let's explore this universe. Let's explore every fan fiction of Pokemon that I can possibly find. It's just,
Let's stay away from fan fiction. That's a terrifying place.
Dropped that a while ago because it was just like all consuming. I'm like, oh, I should create one of these. Stop.
I wrote Kingdom Hearts fan fiction back in high school. Does that count?
Nice. That's awesome. And I got to see it.
Like 13, 14 years ago.
That's hilarious.
Like freshman, sophomore year, something like that. It's actually what got me into writing, but this isn't my episode. Kind of splashing on my writing when the other day I word vomited just like a random backstory of a rogue that's in my head, and you're like, hey, no, stop it. Make it a novel or novella so I can do some voice acting. Audible.
Yes. So that's another thing that I roped myself into is I love just being ridiculous. So part of that is making silly sounds. I've always been entertaining to babies, making weird faces and like all these silly voices and whatnot, which lends great to D&D, which lends great to voice acting in Audible or commercials or whatever. So that's another thing that I do. Add it to the list of busyness. I have like no free time. Anyway, yeah, I do audiobooks. I would like to do more than I have, but with starting Noble Hobgoblin, just kind of reining in all my things that I want to do, and plus I have 3 children, wife, all this stuff that's like very time consuming and that I love. And I don't want to throw any of that away or miss any of that. So I got to carefully select everything. But yeah, I played Scourge from the Sonic universe. I don't know if you know who Scourge is, but he's like Sonic from an alternate dimension, and he's like the big super evil guy.
I personally don't, but I assume a lot of people do. Sure. Like I stopped playing Sonic 2.
Oh, well, that was a while ago.
Way back in the day.
Yeah. So I played Scourge in an epic rap battle. I did a commercial for cannabis for some guy in the UK, which was interesting.
Wait. You said epic rap battle, like the YouTube channel?
Not the super big one.
Okay.
That would be cool.
I was about to say, that would have just about been a mind-blowing fact about you. I didn't know.
Yeah. No, a different one. Still, he's got like, 80,000 some views on like some of his stuff, and some of them are really high. So it's still cool, and I got paid for it. It's still like a job. But yeah, that's really fun. I did a unmentionable book. I'm going to leave it at that for Amazon. That was interesting.
If you get curious, I'm sure you all can find it.
Ah, I used a pen name, so good luck. But yeah,
Don't worry. I'll
anyways.
get him drunk and we'll leak the pen name.
Won't happen, but good luck. Um,
Oh, people
yeah,
talk.
that's true, but I don't really get drunk. I stop at like 2 beers. I'm a lame, you know, dad.
I'm the same way for the most part. What
Sure.
sounds the dad.
Yeah, right, right.
Pets.
You're a sugar glider daddy.
Yeah, I'm a sugar daddy. All right. All right. So we're getting on to it. So Jacob is a player in this game right here.
It's true.
Campaign put out by Peterson Games. They've given us permission to be using all this. They're sharing our links and stuff. I'm highly recommending. Like I've read through the first adventure, Ghoul Island. I haven't actually ran it. We're working our way through their second one. They just started their third one, Dark Worlds. It's really well done. Like I've always had issues with pre-written adventures in the past because either they like go hyper specific to the point that you can't do any
That's tough.
creativity with it. This one is like perfect level of here's the details you need to know, but we're leaving it vague enough that you can improv and do whatever. But
That's where I shine.
yeah. So tell us about Dacian, like your character, the inspiration behind creating him, any sort of backstory that our listeners can know for now, but like leave some mystery, but
okay, yeah. So I'm gonna give a very well. Here we go. So Dacian came to me.
More weeks before I heard that voice.
Yeah. Now it's gonna be stuck in your head, and you're gonna try not to talk like it. So
no. Akri is the infectious one.
Oh yeah, the Sean Connery bit. Yeah, that is very infectious. So anyhow, I like challenging things and doing things different, and everybody seems to have this idea of a bard in their head where they just want to bang all the dragons. Sure, you could, or if you look, there's a reason why. If you look at your stat sheet on the D&D sheets, you can find intimidation.
Like the one prop I don't have on hand.
A way to go. You can find intimidation, and it says charisma. And as a DM who can kind of be quick on their feet, if they're using like force, strength to intimidate, then you could make the call and be like, okay, make a strength check instead. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is charisma doesn't have to be, I want to bang everything. That's not, it just means I have presence in the room. I can kind of make people do what I want because I think it's what I want, So Dacian is this creepy dude who just like sets off this eerie aura that makes people like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I don't mess with this guy in the wrong way and do what he wants, so I'm not getting like 5 demons haunting me in my sleep, So Dacian's, I'm gonna try and do this as carefully as possible, where I can kind of explain a little bit.
Yeah, leave some mystery.
Right. So Dacian is around 300 years old. He wears this face. He's very private, so he wears this wooden mask,
which I always forget about. Like
I noticed
in my head during like
your merchants are all like, yeah, this is normal.
Like everybody's interactions and stuff with you. It's just like I'm like in the theater of the mind. I'm always picturing. I don't know why, but like for Dacian, I'm drifting like towards the Hobbit movies Thranduil.
Okay, interesting.
Like,
yeah,
I always see that in my head.
Sure.
For the representation of Dacian. Now that I'm saying his name correctly.
Right.
That first session was rough.
Hilarious, actually. Right. So the character himself is an elf, and he comes from this mysterious background because he's trying to be secretive about himself. He's trying to be distant from everybody. He doesn't want to get attached to anybody. He doesn't want anybody to get attached to him. He wants to kind of just exist. and find out the knowledge that he wants. He is a super talented musician, and follow along in the story, and I'm sure you'll find out the rest of this. But he plays violin. That's his bardic instrument. And he's also proficient with slaying some keys. He's a pianist too. Realistically, he's the type of person who can pick up an instrument and be like, and just start playing it. He'll dink around with it, and then he'll understand how it works. Use some data that he's collected from the many years of playing and figure it out. But yeah, his deal is kind of this like, trying to do this.
Like
No
one
spoilers.
word. Like instead of trying to like describe it, just give like one descriptive word for it. Like the overall mood that you were going for. Because I know there's a sordid history that we're going to try and incorporate in there.
Right. Oof. Creepy and sheltered, I guess. Not sheltered,
Okay.
no. Alone. Distant. That's 3. We'll move on.
So far as we're what, 5 episodes in? I think 4 and 5 are in the editing bay right now. How would you say Dacian's overall mood towards the party is?
He kind of deals with them. He's not like thrilled, but that's kind of his outlook. Right. Yeah, I know. Excellent. So he's gonna do what he's got to do to get what he wants. He wants that information from that tower. He wants to know what he can find. And if that means hanging out with his party, who's gonna help him, he's gonna help them. It's mutually beneficial. He's cool with it. It's I don't think it's quite to the bonding area, and it's tough with him anyways. So we're not there. But it's definitely, collaborative effort. But hey,
we're only 2 play sessions in. Give it time.
Exactly. He's still very mind your own business, but we can work together still.
I think that's about all I've got for Dacian right now without trying to delve in too deeply. Like, we want to leave some mystery.
Right.
How about you? What are some expectations you have for this campaign? Like, a little bit, like we had to talk a little bit about it for writing the lyrics for the theme song, but...
Right. So my expectations is to get messed up. I feel like we're going to be like, especially with the players that we have. Oh yeah, right. So
people don't come out of these things normal.
I know it. So with the players that we have, I have a deep feeling that we're just going to be like, yeah, we can do it. Totally. It's no problem. And then go into it and be like, and just lose it. So that's my imagery that plays in my head. But along the way, it's going to be great. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hilarious. And it's also going to be just really like solid. I feel like we have a good team. Not just as players, but as people, as us existing. I think we got a good thing going, and I really look forward to playing more. Also, no longer being a forever DM feels pretty good.
Yeah.
That. Don't worry.
You'll still be the DM in the home games.
Yeah.
But you'll get your nice little break over here at Dice Chuckers.
Yeah, which feels great. But I am also really excited about doing a one-shot.
Yes. Which we were going to do what? The one that you were going to run is the alien system?
It would be pretty cool, but we'll talk about that. We'll see.
We've got all set.
Yeah.
But speaking of one-shots, this seems like a good place to actually do the announcement for it. It's currently in the works doing a Noble Hobgoblin one-shot, where Jacob will be playing the role of the Noble Hobgoblin. His partner, also Jacob, it will get very confusing, so I'm going to try and stick strictly to character names for the audio medium, will be playing his role as the Dire Troll, which is a name he is known by in most of his gaming communities, his crafting communities, all kinds of stuff. It's been his tag forever. But we will be leading those two on an adventure. They will be starting out in a tavern called the Stale Ale in Beerlandia on a
Love
quest
it.
to find the golden hop.
I cannot wait for that. That sounds like so much fun.
I found a nice little PDF online. It was like $5-6 called Tankards and Taverns. So it's got some fun little monsters in there that I'm gonna
Nice.
probably be using, some alcohol-based subclasses.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely want to check out an alchemist in that role. That'd be cool. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I can't wait. One thing that if we choose to do this one shot in a video setting, which would be pretty cool, you'll understand the difference between Jacob and Jacob. One
There's about
is
2 foot
normal
difference.
size. Yeah, exactly. Hence dire troll. It's
Ooh.
funny. So currently I'm a brewer bartender, and of course I run Noble Hobgoblin and I'm setting up all that stuff. But anyhow, before this, I was a professional distiller, and I hired Jacob to. I knew him a little bit before then, but I hired him to help me out in the basement of a local brewery the one that I was working at, and instantly, like that day, it might have even been you. He said he told his friend that he was working in the basement of Grand River, and he's like, "Oh, they got a troll in the dungeon." It's like, exactly.
Yeah, that was
Exactly.
probably me.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, so
probably
he's definitely known as the troll. But anyhow, I can't wait.
on that topic. It is a funny little story that we mostly know each other through Big Jacob.
Oh yeah.
Then there's the fun story of finding out that we're cousins.
Yeah, that was really hilarious. So I think other Jacob asked Travis to attend one of our D&D for charity events as a DM to run one of our tables, one of the one shots that we created. And it was for Christmas. It was great. We made Krampus steal children from the village, and the players had to go and get them. Anyhow,
I have that Krampus mini sitting up by my TV in my bedroom.
it's super cool. Yeah, so Travis played that, and I've seen Travis around for many years through the Magic the Gathering community, and we just never really talked. Used to see him playing at our local Denny's a lot. When I'd go there for
those
my
are
late
the old
night
days.
coffee. Right? Yeah, the gross Denny's coffee, but for some reason I was like, yeah, this is so good.
No, I'm just
Anyway.
thinking I was like 2021 back then. So that's like 9-10 years ago.
Well, here's a little memory booster for you. I saw him throughout the years. I just remember faces for some reason. Anyhow, so he plays our event. Well, he hosts our event with us, and we do another event 2 months later with Breaking Games, where we have like Sparkle Kitty and We're Doomed and all these games from them, Rise of Tribes.
And your first official beer release.
Right, and it was our first official beer release at 127 Brewery in Jackson, and which was a huge success. But anyhow, before the event happened, so this was maybe 2 days before the actual beer release, I just finished, co-kegging this batch up, and it was the brewer there put it on tap for me because I was there with my family, and your mom, which at the time I did not know, was there, and she was drinking beer, and I was like, "Oh, hey, try this. I just made this," and she tried it. She thought it was really great. So did Doug, and
Doug would be my stepdad.
Right.
Just to make the connections.
Yep. So she says, at randomly, like an hour later, she comes up to me, "Hey," because I gave her the pitch, I gave her the Noble Hobgoblin pitch, what we're doing. She's like, "Hey, my son's really into board games." I'm like, "Oh yeah? What's his name?" She's like, Travis what? Travis Underwood. I'm like, wait a minute. That's my aunt. So now we know we're cousins, and it was just weird because we worked together previously because of that. And yeah, that was just a strange coincidence, but it's hilarious. It all plays together.
Yeah. Like Jackson's not that small of a town, but
It's like a population of 34,000 almost.
yeah. But hey, I mean, the Conklin side is huge, like
Massive,
massive.
massive.
Like
We're
I've
Irish.
been to so many, so many family reunions for Doug's side of the family, and
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad.
I,
I don't even know.
I remember like 8 people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like my grandma and my mom.
Yeah.
Nobody else. They're like, "Oh, hey, Jacob," and I'm like, "Hey, ooh,
Name
hello."
tags, name tags.
Yeah, it's bad. We my grandma has 2.5 acres, so they hosted one of the ones there, and we had to like rent those big long tents because there were just way too many people, and it was hot as crap out. So anyhow, Conklin family's massive
Yup.
for sure.
So then we started putting together the idea of doing the podcast. Like I'm just like one day, like my buddy Chad, who plays why am I blanking on his character's name?
Benedict.
Benedict. So Chad, who plays Benny, him and I have had a podcast for a while. We used to be roommates, worked together for the longest time, and him and I are just always talked about doing like D&D one shots or something for the
Yeah,
podcast
sure.
at Set Up Nerd. And then one day, like after I started getting all these Cthulhu books, like I signed up for the subscription, but I didn't have a play group because my last play group dissolved due to just scheduling conflicts.
Sure.
I work
Always.
first shift. Most people I know work second and third. So they kept playing. I wasn't able to join because, like an old person, I got to be to bed by 7 or 8 on weekdays.
Well, I mean, you go to work at what, 4?
I wake up at 4. I'm at work at by 5. But so I'm just
No
like,
makes sense.
we need some theatrical people. And I'd been recently playing in your homebrew game that you'd been running
Right.
with you as the DM. So I'm like, hey, Jacob, would you be down for this? And you jumped.
Oh yeah. Oh
I don't
yeah,
know if
dude.
it was
I'm
just a
all
chance to
about
play
it.
D&D or the chance to play D&D not as the DM.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That was a huge part of it. I was like, score! Someone who's gonna do it and actually be into it and knows D&D. They're not just like, yeah, you do the thing.
And then with how quickly this is growing, like we're overnight, like this week, we doubled in followers on Facebook alone. We went from like 47, and I think last I checked, we're currently at 160, 150.
Yeah, it's definitely more than 150. And
Like
with that
that.
being said, thank you for anybody who followed my links from my Instagram, who watched me do my dice. Thank you. We appreciate you. We hope that you
We
enjoy
love
what
you,
we do.
all of our followers.
Yeah,
We love you.
all
We
of them.
appreciate you. But you
Give
also
us
make it where I can't back out
reviews.
of this anymore. I'm stuck as Jacob.
Yes. Continue because this is a long campaign. There's other books, man. This could go for a long time.
Yeah, we'll just put it in this way. Session 1, we played for roughly 3 hours, a little over. They made it through the first day in session 1. That's the
That was
first
pretty,
3 episodes.
it was kind of our fault, to be fair.
I can't say that I'm complaining. I've never, like, I've had role players before. I've been in with the role players before, but I've never had so many just jump to it and want to
Sure.
be in character, having the interpersonal conversations with this party as like
Oh yeah, it's
it was a
lovely.
mind-blowing experience for me.
It's great. I love it, and I am super happy because I get to be a player in that scenario. You know, I ran so many campaigns where the person's like, okay, I'm gonna roll my d6, and I hit him.
How? Like
But
people have, as long as they're having fun, you can't really complain. Like
right, but
that's why I've
this
also
is a
been
refreshing experience.
right. Like I played in a lot of groups, and the
Excuse
older
me.
I get, I know what my tastes are, so I kind of like try and steer towards those type of groups that I personally want to play in. Nothing
Sure,
against people who play differently. It's just I know what I like. As long as you're having fun,
there's
though,
nothing wrong
I'm
with that.
glad you're playing the game.
Totally,
I have too
totally.
many little things for my ADHD brain to fidget with around here. I got this rolled up little piece of paper, the twist ties for my lights.
Totally did that on purpose. You're like, I'm gonna need something to screw with.
Nice. No, if I wanted something to screw with, I would have brought my fidget spinner in. Just in the other room there. But I think that'll do it for our first video for our YouTube channel.
Cool. I would love to say that again. Thank you for everybody. Thank you for putting this together. Thank you, our team, for being such an amazing cast. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of our followers. I ask that you please leave us reviews so we know how to perhaps tweak things to be more enjoyable for you. We don't want to just do this for us. We love doing it for sure, and we're going to continue doing it. But we want you to have a pleasurable experience as well. So if there's something that you would like us to do, hit us up, leave a comment, leave a review. If you like what we're doing and you want to see us grow, the best way that you can help us continue to do so is to share our content, talk to your friends about it, stay tuned to our podcast, our Instagram, Facebook. If you want to hit up Noble Hobgoblin, like I said, we're on Facebook, Instagram. We do a ton of similar stuff too. So just thank you all. We appreciate you. Absolutely.
And then we will be putting all the links to Jacob's Noble Hobgoblin social media in the description. We will be putting all of our links to Dice Chuckers, which we can be found on Facebook at Dice Chuckers Podcast or on Instagram at Dice Chuckers Pod. We're toying with the idea of a Twitter. I've never personally had one, so I don't know what like maintenance or anything like that's going to be. But
yeah,
I'll have our link tree because I believe I added our Facebook and Instagram to our link tree in the description, so it would only be one link, not like a million for Dice Chucker.
Right.
And then thank you everybody for enduring our first video. We will have more player interviews coming in the future, and got some ideas coming down the works for y'all.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.